Shalom, my Israelite family. So I pray that you all are having a wonderful and blessed Shabbat. I know I am. It's beautiful out here. So I want to talk about a few things here. Well, mainly one main thing. And we're going to be dealing with spiritual discernment. Now, Zion. We got to stop trusting and just taking every word just because we're an Israelite. We got to stop taking every word for word, because too many of our people, especially a lot of our people who are waking up, are sending me links, or have been sending me links of different various things. Now, some of them are dealing with Deuteronomy 28 not fitting us. You know, some of you have been sending me links about other stuff. Some of you have been sending me links about America and South America being our holy land. Some of you, man, one person even sent me a link on some dude was trying to say that the British were Israelites. And I'm like, that's crazy. So brothers and sisters, y'all please stop sending me these crazy ass doctrines, because all I'm going to do is just delete them. I'm not going to even respond anymore. So I want to talk about this spiritual discernment, and this is what the Most High has put in my heart, and we're gonna deal with this, because many of our people, we need to stop doing that. We got to get out of this spiritual laziness. And the reason why so many of these people are pushing their strange doctrines is because you give them the power to. Yes, that's right. I'm gonna put it out there. You give them the power to do that, and that gives them the reason to keep pushing that stuff, because you give them all the comments, you give them all the likes, and they see that stuff and they think that it's coming from the Most High. And they think that, oh, I'm being blessed, so I'm going to continue to push this strange doctrine. But I'm going to show you from here on out through the scriptures that everybody who claims to be an Israelite don't mean that they're an Israelite. Everybody who claims to be led of the RUACH is not led of the RUACH. Now, let me just give you one example for now. You look at all these Sunday churches. You look at all our people who are caught up in Christianity, and how they just pack these churches out. They love these churches. They love being caught in all this abomination and confusion. So they'll look at people like T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, and your other big hitters who have these mega churches, and they'll look at that and think that's coming from the Most High. They think because they're being blessed, they're bringing in all these people, that got to be of, and I'm going to use their language, that got to be of God. That's what they say. That got to be of God. I've had people tell me that. Oh, that's of God, because God wouldn't be doing that if he wouldn't lead those people. You know, and you got to be very careful, because deception is a trickery of disguise, and it comes in many forms. And that's why you have to really have a spiritual discernment to discern all of that. You got to compare everything with the word of the Most High. So when someone comes up to you and tells you that these ministers are blessed because they got big churches and because of their status, here's what you tell them. Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully sent in them to do evil. Just because they got all this stuff, just because they got all these members, just because they got all this education, these seminaries, master's degrees, doctor's degrees, whatever, don't mean nothing when it's compared to the word of the Most High. The word of the Most High stands supreme. Now, getting back to the subject at hand, dealing with spiritual discernment. Now, I'm going to use me as an example. Now, how do you know that everything that I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, how can you tell that if I'm led by the Spirit? How can you tell if I'm led by the RUACH? And this is what I want to tackle with you all, because we have to start in these last days. We can't be playing around with this thing. And too many of you are giving these so-called Israelites power by accepting their strange doctrines. Yes, I'm putting the blame on you, just like I put the blame. I don't blame the ministers of these Christian churches. I blame the people, because they are the ones who are putting these lying, false prophet ministers into power. So therefore, the Most High is going to hold you responsible, brothers and sisters. The Most High is going to hold me responsible for giving power to any strange doctrines. And that's why I take this very serious. And I tell you all the time, you got to even test me, brothers and sisters. I'm not trying to deceive no one. I'm not trying to pull no wool over your eyes. I'm going to give you straight up scriptures. I ain't going to be coming from no books with some strange doctrines and then trying to fit them into scriptures. I don't roll like that. Now, I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with reading books, but you better be careful what books you read. And see, this is what really pisses me off about these camps. Because these camps, they use books to try to prove that the 10 tribes came over to America. That's the only way they can try. And they can't even prove it with those books. And that's the crazy thing. And these books are written by heathens. And of course, these heathens are going to try to fit themselves in the prophecy. So the only way that you can believe that America and South America is our land, you would have to believe that the 10 tribes came over to America on ships. That's the only way you're going to believe that crazy ass mess. And the people who are teaching that foolishness are not led by the RUACH. But you all, brothers and sisters, not all of you, but a lot of you all give these people power. Just like our people give these false ministers their power. Give them all their money. Fill the churches up. Yay, we can worship and praise the pagan holidays and all that stuff. Zion, y'all better wake up. Y'all better wake up, because the Most High holds us responsible. And I already told y'all, don't send me any more crazy doctrines of other people or other so-called Hebrews, because all I'm going to do is delete it. I'm not going to even respond to you, because it's time for you, brothers and sisters, to start studying this stuff on your own. It's time for you to start comparing scriptures with scriptures. Just because somebody quotes a scripture or two to try to prove their doctrines don't mean nothing. You better compare scriptures upon scriptures. And everything that is written in the Bible, the Most High has already revealed to us. So if people try to tell you that this is some new knowledge that you can't understand right now because the Most High decided not to give it to you, that's a bunch of BS. The Most High does not withhold anything from his people. He has given everything that he needs us to have. And that's what we do, brothers and sisters. We got to get out of that crazy, phenomenal stuff. And you see, the Most High is not going to send you a prophet, Zion, to confuse you. That's not going to happen. The Most High does not do that. You show me anywhere in the word that the Most High confuses his people. That don't happen. We're the only one who confuses Yah's people, because when we start doing our own strange stuff, doing our own thing, and we become too proud to the point that you cannot tell anybody anything, then you've already gone onto the dark side. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 14, and let's look at verse 33. It says, "For Yah is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all assemblies of the Gadashim." Now, I want y'all to really think about this now. Because if Yah is not the author of confusion, then why is there so much confusion in Israel right now? This ought to make you think, Zion, because the Most High says it right here. He says, "I am not the author of confusion." Well, then why is there confusion? Too many of our people give heed to these so-called Hebrews, Israelites, even if they are Israelites or whatever they are. You're giving heed to these people. You're giving them their power. And they thinking that it's from the Most High. They think that they're being led of the RUACH. And that's dangerous, to get to a point where you think that you're being led by the RUACH. That's why I use my example. How do you know what I'm telling you, brothers and sisters? How can you tell that if I'm led by the RUACH? And that's what we want to get into. All right? Because I want to give you some tools you can use, some scriptures you can use to test the spirits, to be able to tell, okay, if this person is being led. You're going to know. You're going to know, Zion. If you truly, I'll put it this way. If you truly love the Most High, if you truly fear the Most High, because everything else is going to come along with it. You're going to keep the laws. You're going to be doing everything in compliance with the Most High. You're going to have spiritual discernment. You're just going to have that, all right? So I'm just telling you straight up. But a person who can't be told, if I get to a point where I feel like you all can't tell me anything, or I can't learn anymore. It's time for me to shut it down and pack it up. I'm just gonna be honest with you, because it's a continually growing thing. We're growing in the grace of the Most High. We're growing in the Spirit. So we're going to continue to learn. But the things that are already written in His Word have been written a long time, brothers. This is way before we came on the scene. So the Most High has already given us everything. It's just that you have sometimes brothers and sisters, they just go off the mark and try to bring in some strange stuff because it sounds good. So again, the Most High is not going to bring in anything that's going to confuse you, brothers and sisters. If it's confusing you, then you really need to reevaluate it, and you really need to test the source that it's coming from. Because the Most High said in His Word, He is not the author of confusion. And if anybody tells you that, well, the Holy Spirit can only give certain people knowledge and not give anybody else the same knowledge, that's a bunch of baloney, because we all have the same knowledge, brothers and sisters. We all have the same access to the Word of the Most High. So it's just that people get caught up and lose their way, and they go off into strange doctrines, and they think that they're being led by the Holy RUACH just because they got a large base or what have you. And that means nothing. That's no sign to prove that you're being led by the RUACH. Then that's the case, then I could say that then. That's why I need to be tested. And so for a person to say that, and see, I can tell you all day long, yeah, the RUACH put this on my heart to give to you. Well, how do you all know that? And the way you know that is you test it by the Word of the Most High. If everything that I'm saying to you is lining up with the Word of the Most High, and so be it, then you test that. And if I come to you preaching something to you false, and that's crazy, and that doesn't sit right with your spirit, you better test it. You better test it, and you better come back and rebuke me, or you better tell me something. Hey, I think you're going off the mark. I think you going. So far, I haven't got that from you all. So, I prayed to the Most High that I can continue to stay on the mark, because I fear the Most High, brothers and sisters. And I ain't got time to be trying to deceive no one. The safest thing you can do is stay in the Scriptures. Now, don't go too far to the left, to the right. Stay right there in those Scriptures, because when you start looking into other sources and reading these crazy books, and then and all of a sudden you're starting to put those doctrines into the Scriptures. You're trying to fit things where they don't belong. And the next thing you know, you think you're being led by the RUACH because you got something special. You think you're the only one on this earth, that the Most High is only giving you that information and nobody else don't have it. The Most High does not work like that. The Most High is not a respecter of persons, brothers and sisters. He gives all of us equally, and we have the same access to the Word of the Most High. Now, I've had people that came to me in my comments and tell me that, oh, brother, you shouldn't be using the New Testament. You shouldn't believe in the New Testament. You know what? Delete, bye-bye, because look at here. The Word of the Most High says that all of Yah's words are inspired. Now, just because the heathens translated our books don't mean that the Most High is not speaking to us through His Word. Okay? Well, this is Elohim we're talking about, brothers and sisters. We're talking about an Elohim that has no beginning or end. You think that He's going to allow the heathens to completely destroy His book, and that's the problem. We put too much trust in man and worried about what man has been doing. But don't worry, the Most High has our backs. The Most High is not going to let His people, His true people, He's not going to let them be deceived. The only way that you're going to be deceived if you go outside of the will of the Most High and you go do your own thing. And that's the only way you're going to be deceived. But everybody has a free will choice, So you have to decide whether you want to serve Elohim or you want to serve man. And it's your choice, Zion. I can't even force that upon you. So, all right, Zion, let's continue on with understanding spiritual discernment. So go ahead and turn to 2 Timothy chapter 4. And let's start with verse 2. It says, preach the word, be ready in season, out of season. Y'all hear that, Zion? Be ready in season, out of season. That means be ready at all times. It says, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. Verse 3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. You hear that? not in their sound doctrine. What is sound doctrine? That means the pure word, brothers and sisters. See, a lot of our people are just not happy with the word alone. They want to venture off into other stuff. They want to venture off into some exotic stuff. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about after this verse. It says, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears. What is itching ears? Always wanting to hear fables, always wanting to hear something that's very unique or something that's different. You know, we're not happy with what the Most High has given us in His Word. We want something outside of that. We want to take it a little further. We want to take it to the max. So we start heaping up these teachers, YouTubers who feel like they're teaching something that I can relate to. You know, it might not necessarily be of the Word. They might throw some scriptures out there that will you in because it sounds really good, but then the whole content is off. It's like thrown off, and you're like, wow, okay, I can get this. It sounds good, and then you don't even go back to recheck it. You don't even go back to study after that person. You don't even test the spirit. You just go along with it because the person may seem nice. The person may speak calmly and things like that, you know. Versus if you get a person who speaks rough, but they're speaking the truth, you might go with a person who's more calm, you know, because that's what you're used to. So you got to be very careful, Zion. Just because it sounds good on the outside don't mean that it's truth. And just because people say that they're led by the RUACH don't mean that they're led by the RUACH. Verse 4, and they shall turn their ears away from the truth. Y'all hear that? Turn their ears away from the truth. The things that the Most High has given us. Our people are just not satisfied with the truth. They want something more. They want something exotic, and shall be turned unto fables. Verse 5, but watch in all things, endure affliction, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof. You hear that? Make full proof of your ministry. And we have to test everything. We have to prove all things. You know, it's easy. See, here's the thing. And I bet you, Zion, that I can convince you of some things. I can probably convince you that the 10 tribes actually came over to America. If I really wanted to, I can convince you of that. And a lot of you would believe that. I'm not going to say a lot of you, but I guarantee you some of you would probably believe that. You know, I can convince you of some other crazy stuff, and you probably would believe it because you would not. Because if you consider me as a nice person, he speaks calm, you feel like I'm led by the Spirit, it's easy to get caught up into something like that because you don't feel like I'm a threat to you. You know, I'm speaking calm, I'm not all rowdy and all that kind of stuff. And that's how a lot of people get caught up. That's how a lot of people get deceived. Even through subtleness, deception works at its greatest. I want you to remember that. Even through subtleness, deception works at its greatest. You see, the devil is not going to come to you full blown and reveal his true colors. You know, he comes in subtle ways to deceive you. That's how you can be deceived. Anybody who tries to deceive you is not going to just tell you straight up, bam, I'm going to deceive you. You're not going to hear that. They're going to do it in subtle ways that you can't even tell, and you're going to go along with it. Now, let me show you what the Most High has warned us about and what I mean when it's talking about fables and stuff. Now, look at Jeremiah 10:2. It says, Thus says Yahuwah, learn not the way of the heathens. Well, why should we not learn the way of the heathens? Because they are unclean, they worship idols. And it says, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed at them. Now I'm going to tell you how profound this is, because y'all remember when this big eclipse happened last year, and every time a blood moon happens, well, guess who's all lined up on the streets and all out with all kind of stuff? The heathens, because they are amazed at this kind of stuff. They're into all that astrology stuff and everything. They're all into that, and you got Hebrews who are caught up in that stuff. But the Most High warns us about that. It says, Thus says Yahuwah, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the what? For the heathens are dismayed at them. Well, why are we doing the things that the heathens are doing? Why are we taking on their ways? Why are we taking on their customs? Why are we out there lined up in our cars participating with these heathen devils when the Most High told us not to do that? And so that's what I'm talking about. Our people just love fables. They love exotic things. They're not just satisfied with the word or what the Most High says in His word. They want something else. And that was the problem with our forefathers. That's why they just had a knack for following after other gods, following after other nations, wanting their strange women, their strange fruit. Then they would bring that stuff back to Israel and corrupt all of Israel. All right, let's go ahead and go to the book of Acts, chapter 20, and let's start with verse 28. It says, "Take heed, therefore, unto yourselves, and to all the flock, over the which the RUACH HaKodesh has made you overseers, to feed the so-called out assembly of Yahuwah, which He has purchased with His own blood." Verse 29. "For I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock." What are we seeing? These folks are ruthless. You got all kind of folks doing their own stuff, talking about these strange doctrines, and they're just ruthless. They're not even sparing the flock because they think they're being led by the Ruach. Verse 30. "Also of your own selves shall men," y'all hear that? "Also of your own selves." It happened back in the days of the disciples. It's happening now. "Also of your own selves shall men arise, speaking perverse things, to draw away Talmudian after them." That's disciples. In order to gain disciples for themselves. And that's what we're seeing a lot of. And it's crazy, Zion, because there's so many things, and everybody thinks they're right. Everybody thinks they have this new light or something that the Ruach only gave to them and nobody else. And I find that so ironic and so crazy when the Most High has given us His word, and we all are brothers and sisters in HaMashiach. Do we not have access to the same word of the Most High? Do we not have access to the same Spirit? Then again, why is there so much confusion in Israel? It's because we do not test the spirits like we should. Because we give ear and heed to people with strange doctrines, so therefore we give them their power. And that's why they continue on doing what they're doing, because they think that they're being led by the Ruach because you're giving that power. They look at all these subscribers, they look at all these likes, they look at all these comments. Oh, I must be doing good. I'm going to tell you like this, brothers and sisters. I don't give a damn if I had one subscriber. I'm going to work just as hard for that subscriber as hard as if I had other subscribers. So it ain't about the subscribers. We got to get out of that stuff. Just because we got this and got that and we getting this don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing. I can fall away. I can go off to the left. I can go off to the right at any time if I take my eyes off of HaMashiach and if I go outside of the will of the Most High. Yes, I'm only flesh and blood, brothers and sisters. I'm going to admit that. I'm just going to keep it real with you. And that's why I have to constantly work out my salvation with fear and trembling, because I don't want to fall off the mark. All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 8, and let's look at verse 20. It says, "To the Torah and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them." And that's another way you test the spirits, brothers and sisters. To the Torah and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. And you will have so-called brothers and sisters that'll give you a few scriptures to try to support their claim or whatever they're supporting, but the rest of it is all off. They're reading other books and fitting in these heathen books into what they're trying to do, and it's total chaos. And remember what the word of the Most High says: "Be careful, do not add or take away to my word, or you will have part in the lake of fire." That's why I'm not going to interject any books into the scriptures. That's insanity. That's madness. That's ludicrous to do something like that. And you should be afraid and fear the Most High in doing something like that. But a lot of our people, so-called who claim to be Israelites, don't fear the Most High. Even some of the awoke ones do not fear the Most High. The Bible says you should know them by their fruits. That's why we don't just need to be taking anybody's word for it. Just because you call yourself an Israelite, that don't mean nothing. There's certain Israelites I wouldn't even let in my house. I'm serious about that. There's certain spirits I would not let in my house. If I discern an uneasy spirit, you ain't coming up in here. I guarantee you that. Let's move on. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 3. It says, trust in YAHOSHUAH with all your heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Let me go to that first verse. Trust in YAHOSHUAH with all your heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. And so that's our problem. And just like our fathers, brothers and sisters, we are a stiff-necked people. And it's easy for us, because we know that we're Israelites, we know that we have the truth. It's easy for us to lean unto our own understanding. And that's where the challenge is going to come in for many of us, to be able to empty our cups, because you cannot operate on a full cup. When your cup is full and you full of yourself, you can't see straight. The RUACH cannot work with you. The RUACH is going to only work with those whose cups are empty. You got to constantly empty your cup before the Most High, so he can fill it with his knowledge, not your knowledge. All right, let's go to verse 7. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahuwah and depart from evil. You hear that? Be not wise in your own eyes. This is very profound, saints. The Most High is telling us not to think that we know everything. Think that we the only one who got the truth. Well, I'm the only person who got this new light, so I'm going to teach this. I'm going to start introducing it little by little to my subscribers, because I'm the only one that can understand it, because the Most High did not give that to nobody else. That's a bunch of bull, brothers and sisters. Don't play that dangerous game. And it ain't going to work here. You know, our HaMashiach even had to rebuke Peter. Our HaMashiach called Peter a devil. Y'all hear that? HaMashiach called Peter a devil. Let's look at it. Mark 8, verse 33. It says, but when he had turned about and looked on his Talmidim, he rebuked Kepha, and that's Peter, saying, get behind me, Satan, for you savor not the things, you hear that? For you savor not the things that be of Yahuwah, but the things that be of men. That be of men. I can read the rest of that. And see, and that's the point I'm talking about. Too many of our people, they want to get into these heathen ways and their doctrines, and then start introducing it to you all, because they got some idea from a book and they know a couple of scriptures they want to tie it in with, and they think that it's truth. They think they're being led by the RUACH. Better think twice. All right, let's go to 1 John chapter 4. Let's look at verse 1. It says, beloved, believe not every RUACH, but try the RUACHeth, whether they are of Yah, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. And that's the time we're living in now. I'm not talking about the prophets outside of Israel. You know, I'm only dealing with our people, the Most High's people, those who claim to have the truth but giving you these strange ass doctrines, and talking about I was given a message from the Most High to give you this. And I'm going to show you something too. I'm going to show you something from 1 Kings chapter 13, and we're going to go over the whole book pretty much of Kings. We're going to be in that for the remainder of the time. I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind, and it's going to relate to discerning of the spirit, because we got to be very careful, Zion. And the Most High has already given us his word, so we got to stick with his word, study his word, and not be taking every man's word for it. You know, we are living in a time of Laodicea, and Laodicea is a lukewarm church, and that's what we have become. We become so dependent upon each other, upon man just giving us something. And I know many of our people are waking up. The Spirit is waking our people up, but the Spirit is going to lead you, brothers and sisters. You just got to be patient. You know, don't force it. Don't rush it. You're going to learn it. The Most High is going to teach you everything you need to know in his word. Just calm down, be patient, and let the RUACH guide you. Instead of you going off in your own ways and just trying to gain your own knowledge. Let the RUACH guide you and teach you. All right, Zion, go ahead and turn to 1 Kings chapter 13. And I'm going to show you something that's so profound it's going to blow your mind. Start with verse 1. And 1 Kings 13, verse 1. And behold, there came a man of Elohim out of Yehudah by the word of Yahuwah unto Bethel. And Yerovam stood by the altar to burn incense. Verse 2. And he cried against the altar in the word of Yahuwah, and said, O altar, altar, thus says Yahuwah, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Yahoshuah by name, and upon you shall he offer the priest of the high places that burn incense upon you. And men's bones shall be burnt unto you. Verse 3. And he gave a sign the same day, saying, This is the sign which Yahuwah has spoken. Behold, the altar shall be rent, and the ashes that are upon it shall be poured out. So this man of Most High is giving a prophecy here. But let's see what happens next. All right, let's jump down to verse 4. And it came to pass, when King Yerovam heard the saying of the man of Elohim, which had cried against the altar in Bethel, that he put forth his hand from the altar, saying, Lay hold on him. And his hand, which he put forth against him, dried up, so that he could not pull it in again to him. That's something. Let's look at verse 5. The altar also was rent, and the ashes poured out from the altar, according to the sign which the man of Elohim had given by the word of Yahuwah. And in verse 6, it says, And the king answered and said unto the man of Elohim, Entreat now the face of Yahuwah Elohim, and pray for me, that my hand may be restored me again. And the man of Elohim besought Yahuwah, and the king's hand was restored him again, and because as it was before. So we know that this man was truly a prophet. Well, let's continue. Verse 7. And now get this, and this is where it's going to start getting interesting. And the king said unto the man of Elohim, Come home with me and refresh yourself, and I will give you a reward. All right, jump down to verse 8. And the man of Elohim said unto the king, If you will give me half your house, I will not go in with you, neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place. So in other words, no matter what you give me, I'm not going to come to your place. Can't do it. Verse 9. For it was charged me by the word of Yahuwah, saying, Eat no bread nor drink water, nor turn again by the same way that you came. So this was the word of the Most High coming unto this prophet, saying, Don't do it. Don't go home to drink with anyone. Verse 10. And he went another way, and returned not by the way that he came to Bethel. Verse 11. Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of Elohim had done that day in Bethel, and the word which he had spoken unto the king, them they told also to their father. Verse 12. And their father said unto them, What way went he? For his sons had seen what way the man of Elohim went, which came from Yehudah. Verse 13. And he said unto his sons, Saddle me the ass. So they saddled him the ass, and he rode thereon. Now he's going after this prophet, because this man is a prophet. So now he's going after that prophet. Watch what happens next. All right, jump down to 14. And went after the man of Elohim, and found him sitting under an oak. And he said unto him, Are you the man of Elohim that came from Yehudah? And he said, I am. Then he said unto him, Come home with me and eat bread. Now remember, y'all, the Most High told him, Elohim told him not to do that. Verse 16. And he said, I may not return with you, nor go in with you, neither will I eat bread nor drink water with you in this place. For it was said to me by the word of Yahuwah, you shall not eat no bread nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by the way that you came. Now I want y'all to listen to this, because this is where it gets really crazy. Now verse 18, he goes on to say, he said unto him, I am a prophet also as you are, and an angel spoke unto me by the way of Yahuwah, saying, bring him back with you into your house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him. Now, I want you to think about something here. I want to bring out a very valid point. Now, let's go over this again. Verse 18. He goes on to say, he said unto him, I am a prophet also as you are, and an angel spoke unto me by the word of Yahuwah, saying, bring him back with you in your house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him. Now, look at this. I want you to see the significance of this. First, he says, I am a prophet also as you are. Y'all see the similarities here? Now, fast forward to this time. You have a lot of Israelites who claim to be Israelites, and just because they say they say I'm an Israelite, does that give you to right to believe everything that they're teaching or saying to you? You see what I'm saying? So that's why when you brothers and sisters send me links and stuff, I always tell you to search the scriptures and test the spirits. Just because a person is an Israelite doesn't mean that they're preaching straightforward truth to you, brothers and sisters. We got to get out of that notion. And I think too many of us, we think we get too comfortable with the name because, oh, this brother's an Israelite, so why would he deceive the Most High's people? Why would he deceive us? And see, that's where we go wrong at, because not everybody is called of the Most High. You know, many are called, but few are chosen. And just because they have something that sounds nice and it calms your ears and everything, don't mean that it's truth. Read that again. He said unto him, I am a prophet also as you are. And then get this. And an angel spoke unto me by the word of Yahuwah. So this man is telling him that that the Spirit spoke to him. You have Israelites who claim the RUACH is speaking to me. You know, but here's the thing. You could be telling somebody that, and you got your own agenda, and you're trying to spread it, and you even convince your own self of a lie. But yet you want to give it to another Israelite to try to get him to believe that mess. So here's my whole point, Zion, and the reason why I wanted to show you 1 Kings chapter 13. Just because a person claims to be an Israelite, or you know that they're an Israelite, don't mean that the thing that they're teaching you is going to be of truth. And that's why you got to go further to test everything by the spirits. All right, let's go to verse 19. And then it goes on to say, so he went back with him and did eat bread in his house and drank water. Now, this is after Elohim told him not to do that, because he warned that prophet that came after him, says, hey, I cannot go back with you. I cannot eat or drink with you. But because this man said, hey, I am a prophet also. Hey, I'm an Israelite like you, so I'm not going to misguide you. The doctrine that I'm giving you, it's okay. Just come to my house and eat bread with me and drink water. And then I'm going to kind of just share some things with you. You know, got to be very careful, Zion. Got to be very careful. And this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. You know, but we're so caught up with this whole name, with this whole thing of being Israelites. And that's good, brothers and sisters. We ought to be proud of who we are, who our heritage is. But we cannot believe every spirit. Well, we can't. Because you got people who are led by the RUACH, and you got people who are led by demonic spirits. That's why the Bible says in 1 John 4:1, 1 John 4:1, to test every spirit, whether they be of the RUACH. All right, let's jump down to verse 20. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, that the word of Yahuwah came unto the prophet that brought him back. And he cried unto the man of Elohim that came from Yehuda, saying, Thus says Yahuwah, for as much as you have disobeyed the mouth of Yahuwah, and have not guarded the commandments which Yahuwah Elohim commanded you. Now watch this, because this gets crazy. But came back and have eaten bread and drunk water in the place of which Yahuwah did say to you, Eat no bread and drink no water. Your carcass shall not come unto the sepulchre of your fathers. Verse 23, get this. And it shall come to pass, after he had eaten bread, and after he had drunk, that he saddled for him the ass, to wit, for the prophet whom he had brought back. It gets crazier. Now watch this, verse 24. And when he was gone, a lion met him by the way, and slew him, and his carcass was cast in the way, and the ass stood by it. The lion also stood by the carcass. This is crazy, brothers and sisters. All because he did not discern the spirit, but yet he gave heed to a man who was lying to him. This is why, Zion, is so crucial that you trust in the Most High rather than trusting in man, because a lot of our brothers and sisters, so-called Israelites, are going to come along and hand you a lot of deceptive stuff. And guess what? You're going to be held responsible for giving them power. I'm just going to be forthright with you. Let's go to verse 25. And behold, men passed by and saw the carcass cast in the way, and the lion standing by the carcass, and they came and told it in the city where the old prophet dwelt. So word got around what had happened. This man disobeyed the word of the Most High and got ate up by some lions. Verse 26. And when the prophet that brought him back from the way heard thereof, he said, It is the man of Elohim who was, get this, disobedient unto the word of Yahuwah. Disobedient unto the word of Yahuwah. When we trust in man, brothers and sisters, we are disobedient to the word of the Most High. When you get a YouTuber that comes along and gives you something, sounds good, you accept it, you're ready to follow all out, and you're gonna go right off the cliff for the people that you're following, unless you test it by the word of the Most High. And he says, who was disobedient unto the word of Yahuwah, therefore Yahuwah has delivered him unto the lion, which has torn him and slain him according to the word of Yahuwah, which he spake unto him. It's no joke, brothers and sisters, to be following man and taking man's word for it, because there's consequences. You might not think that, but, this is nothing to fool around with. So I pray that you really get it, Zion. I really pray that you really get it. And hopefully prayerfully you have some scriptures you can use, you can go to discern spirits. But I wanted to use this account that was taking place in 1 Kings 13, because the Most High don't play when it comes to disobeying his word. And again, Zion, the reason why there's so much confusion in Israel is because you have a lot of our people who don't want to study, but rather just take man's word for it. And that's why there's a lot of confusion, because our people keep giving power to these doctrines of devils. And as long as a lot of our people keep giving powers to these doctrines of devils, guess what? People, YouTubers, are going to continue to push their agenda. I'm just being straight up with you. Because a lot of times our people get too proud, big-headed. They think that they're doing it. And they start getting a large audience and everything. And they start feeling themselves, smelling their own piss. And then next thing you know, they think, the Most High, I'm the only one that the RUACH has picked to give this message. So only I can understand this message. It's not ready. The other followers are not ready to accept this yet. So I'm going to have to give it to them little by little and will them in. You better wake the hell up, Zion. So with that being said, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to leave you with Revelation 14:12. And I say shalom and stay strong.